I'm new and haven't had a chance to play on Haven, Fracture, or Pearl. Overwatch tried map pools and quickly learned that map pools were pointless and removed them. I hope Valorant follows. This reply is one of many in response to the previous video uploaded on this channel regarding Valorant's problematic map rotation system. The rotating map pool has been a controversial issue ever since it was introduced, and as time goes on, many players begin to disagree with the Riot's justification for removing maps for long periods of time. Although it's unlikely Riot would ever change their current system, it's still important to go over some suggestions on how they could fix Valorant's map rotation system. One of the most popular suggestions in regards to fixing the map system revolves around map selection, simply letting players choose the maps they want to queue for, similar to Counter-Strike 2. However, this suggestion comes with a couple problems. One of the issues is in regard to increased queue times. Chances are, some of the more favored maps like Ascent and Bind would have the shortest queue times, while the more disliked ones like Breeze and Lotus would have longer queue times. In fact, this can already be seen in Counter-Strike 2. When queuing up for a competitive match, wait times on some of the more popular maps like Dust 2 and Vertigo are sitting at around 3 minutes, while the less popular maps like Office and Ancient are sitting on a 7-minute queue time. Although this may only seem like speculation, Riot themselves have already shut down the idea of map selection. In an article posted on July 16, 2020, the Valorant team would state the following in regards to a question about choosing maps. Splitting up matchmaking into separate map pools would reduce the overall players in our matchmaking pool, which not only slows down matchmaking, but makes it more difficult for us to produce fair matches. Given that, we currently don't have plans to enable map-specific selection for matchmaking. However, this isn't the only reason for not implementing map selection. Although it isn't stated by Riot directly, there is a good chance that map selection could easily be abused to inflate one's rank. All you'd have to do is only play the map you're most comfortable with or have the highest win rate on. In fact, this would be made easier by simply learning a couple lineups on an agent like Viper, so you'd almost always have post plant secured. Although map selection is one of the most popular suggestions in regards to the map pool, it just isn't viable for a game like Valorant. Another popular suggestion is to add a map ban system similar to what's available in Premier. As described by Riot themselves, during map pick and bans, teams take turn banning maps. All the members on the team can vote which map to ban, and the party leader locks in the team's choice. This process alternates between teams until a map is chosen. The team that did not choose the map then gets to choose if they'd like to attack or defend. Although this suggestion isn't as problematic as map selection, it's still very similar at its core. Many players would avoid the less popular maps in favor of the more enjoyable ones, and would likely ban a newly released map to avoid having to learn it. In fact, Riot themselves also shut down this suggestion. In an article posted on May 19, 2022, they'd state the following in regard to the possibility of adding a map ban system. This is not something we are currently planning for regular competitive queue play, because at this time we really want to reinforce learning how to play all the maps instead of always avoiding specific ones. All in all, it seems like Riot has no interest in adding any sort of system that allow players to choose the maps they would want to play on. If they want to limit the maps in order to have people experience them more fully, they could make a map rotation system similar to what Splatoon does, with the difference of making it like 8-hour integrals instead of 2. This comment posted on the previous video suggests something a little more unorthodox, but it's not too different from what we have now. Valorant already does map rotation. The only difference is that players don't know which maps will be taken out of the pool or when they will return. Although 8-hour integrals is too short of a time, something like 1 or 2 weeks per rotation seems a bit more reasonable. However, this comes with one big issue. There's a chance that certain maps being out of the map pool for a defined period of time may lower Valorant's player count. It'd be easy for some of the player base to avoid playing competitive while their best maps are out of the pool. In turn, this would not only lower Valorant's player count when certain maps aren't in play, but there's a chance it may even increase queue times. Riot have made it pretty clear they want to avoid longer queue times and likely also would want to avoid a drop in player retention. As a result, a quicker and defined map rotation system would probably not be something they'd be interested in adding. Personally, I don't care if they limit the map pool for competitive, but leave all the maps for all the other game modes. This post shares the most popular sentiment seen throughout the comment section of the last video. Although the Valorant team have stated their reasoning for limiting the map pool for competitive, many players don't buy Riot's justification for removing maps from any game modes other than Premier and competitive. To clarify, this is what Riot have stated in regards to the map pool system. What about keeping all the maps in unrated queue? We've considered a few different solutions like this, but ultimately decided that keeping parity between all our map pools made the most sense. It can feel like wasted time when you're playing a map you know you'll never see in competitive. For whatever reason, Riot seemed to forget that not every person that plays Valorant only plays competitive. There's still many casual players out there, and from what's been shown, it seems like they wouldn't mind playing non-competitive maps in other game modes. Although Riot states they wouldn't want players feeling like they're wasting time playing a map they'd never see in competitive, it doesn't make much sense. Maps that are out of the competitive pool would be added back eventually. If anything, being able to play them in unrated and other game modes would just prepare many players for when those maps return. Although there is a good chance the system may never change, Riot's decision to have a limited map pool is just ironic. One of the biggest complaints when Valorant first released was in regards to the limited amount of maps available. However, the general consensus was that more maps would be added in the future and thus allow for more variety in the game. But now that there are 10 maps available, Riot chooses to take out 3 of them. The game is often criticized by players for feeling stale, so you'd think the Valorant team would try and add more variety rather than worsening the problem.